and your device is ready.
Oh, very good. All set to go. All right, thank you.
Shoot yourself in the eye with the thingy. All right, here's my iPad. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Doug, for, is this the mic here? Should I use this?
You can if you
Or
like,
doesn't it really matter?
or you can just speak up.
Speak. I really appreciate you inviting me down and setting me up here. And we had a fellow that came down, Zach, that actually got the computer going for us very nicely. So everything's good. So as Doug said, I'm John Orban. I live up in Torrington. And as he had mentioned, was involved in adhesive businesses for several years, and I worked as an applications engineer. I saw a lot of things come across the bench, all kinds of products and whatnot, and that always intrigued me. But when I'd go home, I would tinker down in my basement with stuff, and because I was interested. And most of my ideas, though, were more consumer related. Even though I saw a lot of technical stuff come through the lab, like printed circuit boards and stuff, my ideas seem to be more consumer orientated products. And so I would tinker a lot down there just because I enjoyed it, and worked on many things, everything from actually had a putting green that would change brakes, so somebody could putt on the green and you could adjust the brake so the ball would curve this way or curve that way. So that was one of the things I worked on, and among other things, and which I'll pass out to you and show you later. But I just enjoyed it, and it was a nice deterrent from the everyday things. So I kept pursuing things, and I actually developed something that was called a body scrubbing pillow, which the body scrubbing pillow, and I'll pass this patent around. It basically had 4 big suction cups on it, and you put the body scrubbing pillow on your shower, and you could put scrub on there, and then you go like this, and you could scrub your back like that, against the shower. And so I'll pass that. That was one of the first patents that I had, and I'll pass that around. It was actually a pillow, and I never really. It had some traction, but it never really took off. But it had the big suction cups on it, so it got me to this. So that's why I mentioned that. The suction cups actually that were holding up this body scrubbing pillow weren't working on some of the surfaces. So then I started to look into, well, why isn't it working? So that's what got me onto this episode. So anyway, so the name of the product is called Frog's Feet. And that's the logo that I definitely was involved in designing, but did not design. But my daughter had a lot of input on that, and the graphic designer, so we developed that. Let me see if I can get this thing to go. So that's basically our slogan, Frog's Feet, the suction cup that won't give up. My company is Orban Designs, Torrington. That's my email and my phone number. And that's essentially the slogan that we have on the packaging too. So how does it work? Well, let me just grab, and I'll pass this around to everybody too. This is my little. I've got a demo board here, and what I'll do is I'll pass it around, and you guys could actually try it, so you can see how it works. All right, well, what we have, there's a regular suction cup on here. I can hold it like this. And this is the current production model, Frog's Feet. This is what I'm moving towards. So the current production model is non-phthalate PVC with a light curing polymer on the perimeter. I worked, and I'll explain this. I worked pretty hard and got to the point where this is now a TPE suction cup with a TPE seal on the perimeter. So I think it's going to be a much less
Could you pretend we don't know what TPE stands for?
thermoplastic elastomer. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's a thermoplastic elastomer.
I knew. I just wanted everyone else.
Yeah. So it's a fancy name, but anyway, it's a plastic. And so I want to show you and I'll take these off and then I'll pass it around so people can play with it.
How many repeats can you do?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer. No, for the new material, I would say hundreds, because it really, in fact, one thing I like about this material is that you can basically just kind of wash it with soap and water and then reuse it, and it's good. This one is a little bit, the current one, the seal is awesome. The chemist that I worked with was awesome. I would have never started had he not developed this, but it's a little bit more tedious in that you've got to wipe it with like isopropyl alcohol to bring it back and that type of thing. And it's for that regard, I like the other better. So, but I'll just put this one on here, and then I'll show you basically.
Will they stick stuff to a door that's somewhat porous, or wood, or does it have to be painted smooth like that?
It would have to be sealed. And wood and sheetrock is kind of a gray area. It depends how well sealed it is for it to work. It's really got to go to non-porous like tile or plastic or metal, glass, something like that. So what you do.
How much suction, how much holding part is there?
I'll get into that, but on smooth surfaces, it's not so much that the cup is going to give you all that much more holding than a regular cup this size, but it's more robust. So in other words, it's going to withstand the weather, snow, rain, cold, heat, because it's got a sticky gasket on the perimeter, where the other cups are going to get hardened and brittled and lose their suction. So that's the reason for it.
So it does have a life, but it's better than anything out there.
Yes. So you peel and you can see it's a relatively sticky. So you peel, you place, and so everybody can see, you basically take your finger and you press firmly on the surface like that, and then you're on. Now, if you take a regular cup, you'll see, the regular cups work great on smooth surfaces. But if you try to go to anything that's imperfect, they don't stick at all. So, anyway, there you go. Now let's see here. So, I basically, mentioned all this, and basically what it comes down to, it's a more robust attachment, and that's really why people buy it. They like it because regular cups fail a lot. They put their wreath up or whatever, and it's on the floor because of the weather. They put it in their shower, and they can't even get them to stick because they might have textured tile or whatever. So that's the reason I get sales.
Yeah, I'm sold. My wife is always trying to put hummingbird feeders on the glass windows, and they always fall off. And the comment about the standard things drying out is endemic. I guess those should all be thrown out.
Yeah.
Where's your stuff available?
It's on Amazon.
Oh, it's on Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're sold.
Okay. So I'm not going to bore you with all the applications. I actually have a laser here too. Wow. But really I think one of the biggest things that we get sales on is stabilizing shower caddies, just so they don't sway around in the bathroom or whatever, and they stay put. And that's what we get sales on. But we also get a fair amount of sales, and over here, holiday decorations. So hanging oops, I went back. I'm sorry about that.
What's the maximum weight for a nominal? 25 pounds? 5
No.
pounds?
We're not up to that.
5 pounds?
It's 8 pounds. We say 8 pounds on smooth surfaces and up to 4 on textured.
Okay.
That's what we at this point. but we get a fair amount of sales for wreaths, decorations. My busiest time is during the holiday season around Christmas time, so that's when I get most of my sales. Let's see, we go. I'm going the wrong way here. Okay, there we go.
So it's Frog's Feet on Amazon as well.
Yes, Frog's Feet on Amazon. So here's some of the unique applications that just came about by talking with customers and getting feedback from people. So one tile installer he sells a pack or gives a pack away to all his customers, especially if he puts textured tile in their house or whatever, because they stay. There's a company that makes tile. They bought a good load of Frog's Feet from me to display signage on their tile samples. Securing exhaust stacks on RVs. Weird stuff. A hammock for a bearded dragon. Stuff like that. And another one that's really kind of interesting is securing a practice pickleball tether. So this guy had a pickleball and he put a tether on it, and so you could practice pickleball. You'd stick the tether to the ground or the floor, and you'd hit the ball over the net, and the ball would come back, and you use the suction cup to hold it to the floor. So that's kind of a weird one. Hanging strobe lights in windows for first responders was a company that was interested in that, and then securing air lines in a laboratory setting. Let's see if I can get this to work now. Let's see if I can. This is a very exciting video.
John.
Yeah.
If you put this around the periphery of a window, the holding force that you have there, is it pounds per inch? So if you had 30 inches, you'd have 60 pounds of force that you could put on that window without it being released.
That's possible, yeah.
In other words, do you sell the adhesive that you have here as well?
Currently, no. But it's not just the adhesive. It's a combination of which I'll get to in a second. Let's see if my video will work. There we go. This is basically a planter at my house. It's about 8.5 pounds or so, and a Frog's Feet's on a PVC fence, and it's holding it in the wind. So I just figured I'd show you that in action.
That's about how much weight?
That was 8.5 pounds.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's
one of these.
Yes, and that's on PVC, but it is a smooth surface too.
I'm impressed.
So this is just pictures of my the big picture here to the right is basically my shop, and that's essentially my production setup in New Hartford. To the left over there is my test board where I'm testing all the different weights on different materials. And on the bottom, it just shows how messy and inventing can be with cups everywhere.
Injection molding.
Yes. But then finishing it off, the cup's injection molded. All right, so I basically I entitled this Hanging in the Balance because I felt it was appropriate since I have a suction cup, so everything kind of is hanging in the balance. And just like inventing, I think you're hanging in the balance depending on the different forces that are working against you or with you. Suction cups, and this kind of explains it, the spring back force and the atmospheric force must balance. So in other words, you push the cup down, it's got spring back force, and then the atmospheric force is holding it down. So those two forces have to balance in order for it to work. The cup must be hard enough to create a good vacuum, but yet soft enough to have, some friction to it, a grippiness to it. The seal strength to the armature or the cup, we call it an armature in our patent, but the seal must bond to the armature so it doesn't come off. So it must be a permanent bond, but yet the seal must peel off all the different surfaces that you're peeling it on, because some people, they want to move stuff around. It's not a permanent seal. So that's got to balance out. Also, the seal, as I said, must come off the surface, but if it's too easy, it will delaminate off the surface, so you can't have that either. The specially designed hook is such that when we apply a load to the hook, and I didn't bring that hook down with me this time, but the hook will put a torque on the cup and cause compressive forces underneath the mushroom head, so to add a little bit of force to hold that cup up on the surface, more frictional forces. So, and I guess after going through this whole process, these are the 6 facets that I came up with for inventing and bringing a product to market. And I think what you need is a good product that you're extremely passionate about. It's got to solve a big enough problem so people are going to want to buy it. It's got to be priced such that people are going to want to buy it. And also it's going to have to sustain, good 4 or 5 star ratings over time once you actually supply it. Now, as far as protecting your intellectual property, I was hoping Michael Blake would have been here, because he was my attorney, and he actually is one of the ones that was instrumental in.
I called him.
I know. I'm just saying, in having me come down. But he, before I get into that, I actually for Frog's Feet, I actually got onto the trademark website and applied for that myself, and it wasn't that hard of a thing, and it's fairly inexpensive, and you could do that yourself, I think, without a patent attorney, personally. But with the patent itself, I went through Michael Blake, and this was actually, my first application was actually put through in 2007, believe it or not. And it took them, this is where the frustration comes in with all this, is that it took them at this particular point, it took them like 4 or 5 years to even respond to me before I even got a response, because they were so backlogged with they had 700,000 patent backlog at the time, so they didn't even look at anything.
Did they add on to your term when they gave you
Yes,
the
they did.
patent? How much extra did you get?
I think I got 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but here's the thing, that one never made it through. Okay, that's what I wanted to get into. So the office action, so after 5 years, the office actions start coming through where they, I think that's normal. They come through an initial office action anyway on most things. But so we respond to it through my attorney. I think we responded about 4 or 5 different office actions, which now it's gone by like over 2 years before anything has transpired. So finally I was like, what do I do? I'm throwing my hands up, what do I do? And I talked to my partner, Bob, and I talked to Michael Blake, and we said, you know what, let's just scrap this application and start anew. And so that's what we did. We basically yes, go ahead.
So do you think you can remember how much you've spent in terms of legal fees at this point?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have, that's a really good question. I have an idea. I think it's upwards of 25,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a patent at this point? $25,000
well, no,
later, your
was,
office actions and are costing
it was
you
probably like 20, around 20,000. I didn't have a patent, on it. And then after I reapplied, then I did. I got it. So, and that was about, I think all told, was around 25,000, something like that.
Amazing.
What's the timing on the second patent?
So the timing, here's the thing. So I submitted my new patent application, and my partner and I, Bob, who was a technical writer, an engineer at NIDEC and whatnot. Now I have that coming up, but we went over it with a fine-tooth comb. So we put down new discovery that we had, come about through our testing. We described our product to the nth degree, to the best of our ability, and I think because of that, we were able to get it through. We had one office action that came initially, and we actually answered it and then had a phone call with the examiner and got it through. And it issued in 2 years.
So, but from submitting to office action, how fast was that? To the first response from the?
Oh, much quicker. It was like, a year and, like 8 months, 10 months, something like that. Because then they had that initial office action, and we got right back to them, and then it cleared.
Yeah, that's still a wait.
Oh yeah,
And you probably didn't want to go into production until and sales.
Oh, I was already in production.
Oh, was in production and into sales also.
Yeah. And we collaborated with Michael, and I think we drove him a bit crazy, with our just being so tedious and on details and whatnot. But like I said, 2 years and one office action later, and then the patent issued in 2016, and I can send this around. Actually, I have it here. Actually, I've got the other application too, or the other patent that I came out with the body scrubbing pillow. So those are the two. Yep.
Because that drove a lot of girlfriends.
So your final patent was because of the adhesive? That was, they're all, we've all seen those things, but then, how they fall off. So you had to greatly improve on that, and was the adhesive. Yes.
It's part of it. It's part of it. If you look at it, it's really part of it. It's just, it really, that's kind of what we focused on with our first invention and in our first application, and they wouldn't really have it. They wouldn't really, they basically combined 3 different patents and said, the famous words, those skilled in the art would have known by combining those 3 patents and they would have come up with this idea. So they kind of squelched it.
They said it was obvious.
Yes. So I guess that gets me to a revered government institution that is there to support our talented inventors. I don't think so. Not at all. Granted, I think getting a patent is awesome because it's going to give you clout. It might help you with a potential sale to a company or whatnot. It might keep some people from copying your patent, your idea. But I think their main goal is to basically take any patchwork of public information available to them and put together this argument and say those skilled in the art would have known because of this, this, and this, and they can search the whole world, any public knowledge. It doesn't have to be just in the patent office. That was eye-opening. But I have to say, the second time around, I think we learned a lot, and we got it to go through. So, and I was going to have Michael talk about. I think the other thing is file first. I think inventors. I think they need to keep their ideas somewhat on the QT and not really spread around their ideas all that much until they really want to do something and then file some sort of an application. Because if anybody or any company can go and file first, and they if they hear about your idea and they have claim to the idea. So I think that's the new law that. I don't know if you know about that, Doug. Or,
First to file.
Yeah, first to file. So
you weren't afraid of somebody stealing it since you had filed.
I
Never could tell.
you can never tell. That's my partner in crime there, Bub. My Norwegian forest cat. But I think another facet of inventing is I think you have to have somewhat of cat-like focus. And if you ever look at a cat that's focused in on an animal or a chipmunk or something, he is so focused that nothing can distract him. But if he does get distracted, like I took him, he had this frog, believe it or not, a frog that he was playing with. I didn't want him to kill the frog, so I brought him back inside, right? And I took the frog and I moved it to another spot. I let him out 5 minutes later. He came right back to that same spot where he was, and he looked there for a half an hour. That's focus. That's real focus, right? So I think, as an inventor, you kind of need that, but yet, when you get distracted, just like the cat, you get distracted, you got to come back to it. But you also need to rest like cats and recharge like cats, which I know everybody knows cats love to rest. So I think that's definitely a good attribute to have. And here, I'm not going to bore you with everybody, but there's some very important people here on a support. You really need a support system in order to, I took a product and invented it, but then I also made it and selling it. So you need a ton of support. And all these people supported me. I'm going to be very honest. When Doug asked me to come a year ago, I said, well, maybe let me, I wasn't quite ready because I didn't have the new material and all that. And I said, maybe within a year, I might have inked the deal so I can say, this is how you ink the deal with a company or whatever. But in all honesty, this is what you really need is a support system to keep you going. So I have faith in the Lord that He will get me through, and it might not be the outcome that I'm looking for, but He'll get me through. My mom always encouraged me to dream big, and she sacrificed so I could succeed. My dad, he always taught me how to connect with others. He was a real people person, and he taught me that. And was very interested in science and history. And so I was very intrigued with all the shows on that, and that's what got me interested in that. My wife, she believes in me and the product, and really hasn't wavered. And I'll give you an idea. We actually went to a show down in Baltimore, and it was the Garden and National Hardware Show. And let me just get a little bit of water here. And the keynote speaker there was Martha Stewart, and she was basically up on stage and espousing about all her flowers that she plants around her different properties and all that. And I think most of the exhibitors were kind of interested, but I think most of the exhibitors that were listening to her were all saying to themselves, I want her to stop by my booth so we can show her our product and get our product in her hands. And my wife was one of the only ones. She got up and said, hi, Martha. Yeah, I was just wondering, are you going to go out to the show and see all these wonderful products out there? And she said, well, yeah, I think I'm probably going to. Yeah. She said, so what booth are you at? And so my wife told her, and so Martha Stewart stopped by her booth, and I got product in her hand. So that's the kind of support that I get from my wife. It didn't go anywhere, but we got product in her hand. So I was very, very happy and proud.
Will you be saying a few words about the one-time engineering costs for manufacturing, like
Yes,
injection
I can.
molds?
I can.
Be very interested.
Sure. My son calls me the weird fella in the cellar, just to give you an idea what his thoughts are. But no, he's intrigued with the product, and he's very good with his hands, and he actually uses the product to secure his boat cover at the lake. So that's what he does. My daughter is very intrigued with the product, also thinks I'm a little bit weird, but she puts up with me, and she majored in PR and entrepreneurship at Quinnipiac, and has been on TV as a lifestyle expert, promoting products and whatnot for the malls and whatnot. And it's funny when she says, when it comes up on the screen, lifestyle expert in quotes, because I always tell everybody you should see her bedroom, but that's another story. But anyway, she's very good. She was instrumental in doing the logo. and she, to give her all the credit, she's wanted to really kind of ramp up my marketing effort and everything, but I wasn't satisfied with my process or the product, so I was really holding the reins back on the product. So
As far as your son using it on his boat, does he have to replace them every once in a while, or have they lasted 3 years?
well, he's actually, this is the first time he's actually had a boat at the slip, so this has only been this season. So this season. he's
But it's
had-
working so far.
Yeah. So, yeah, and by the way, that one cup that I pass around that's green, I actually, since I'm waiting for my engineer to do some work to dispense the material, that's hand dispensed. So, but anyway, my mentor or my partner was Bob Borghese, who was an engineer, a technical writer. He was really instrumental in kind of guiding me through this whole process. And I have a folder with him called Breakfast with Bob. So we'd go out for breakfast every month or so and just talk. So we'd probably talk 3/4 of the time about something totally different, and then about 1/4 of the time about the product and getting it and promoting it. So he was very instrumental in getting my patent to go through, no doubt. My engineers I call them the dynamic duo, Stan and Phil, and they're actually out of Bristol, and they are awesome guys. They were in business for many years. One worked for GE, I believe, and Stan is especially good at mixing like common sense solutions with high-tech automation. He's very good at melding those things. So he got me up and running on the cheap because it was relatively a shoestring operation. So he got me up and running on the cheap in a fairly semi-autonomous manner. So I really take my hat off. And when I was looking for a place to make them, he said, "Why don't you just make them here?" He had a little shop in Southington at the time. So I just started manufacturing there. Another thing is minimize the variables. I guess, as everybody knows here, life can be very hard at times with many variables, and inventing is no different. Reduce your design to the simplest form or process that you can to simplify things, the suppliers to a minimum if you can. And this is an important statement. I think no matter how smart or well planned out you have this, there will be events outside your control that will just happen. It just does. Because you're making something new and stuff happens. And essentially the small changes can be the biggest pain in the ass, essentially. And they just do. Or just are. Geographically, I basically am up and down Route 8. I go to my suppliers personally and pick up my parts and whatnot, and I talk to people. And when you talk to people there, you at least get an idea if there was a problem with the process. You get a real good inside understanding. And honestly, they kind of like it. Now, once you get too big, you can't do that, but it's kind of nice to do that. And in my opinion, inventing can be a very messy process at times, but you just have to keep your eye on the target, and you might get distracted, but you come back to it and you keep going, and that's what I did. And now, time stretch, Stan and I talk about this, my engineer. It just happens. You get a time stretch. You think something is going to take a month, in your mind, it's only going to take a month. It ends up, it could take a year. For example, the seal material on the new cup that we came up with, I thought that was going to take maybe 6 months or so. It ended up taking 2 years to come up with. So,
And you patented that?
Yes, it's included in the patent. It's included in the whole assembly.
Or the use thereof? Of the adhesive material?
Not the use thereof, I don't think.
Because I can think of a lot of things.
Okay. All right. But let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, so the time stretch is really it just happens. You don't realize because there's so many unknown variables at time. You think you have things figured out, but you don't. You don't essentially. The other thing is never give up. You know, you need to be patient and persevere. And I know that's kind of a boring statement. You need to be patient and persevere. But you need to be patient and persevere, you know, in the real world. And when things go bad, you still got to push ahead. And that's not easy. It's not easy to do and kind of live that. But you do. And, you know, there's many times, I don't think you can really see that in the swear words kind of blocked up. I basically would say, screw this, I'm done. I don't really want to do this anymore. And then somebody would give me a good review on Amazon, or we'd figure out something, a new process, and you know we'd hit on something, and I'd say, okay, I'll keep going. So you can never give up, but you can't be delusional. And what I say about this is, in other words, you can't keep going even if you're getting 1 and 2 star reviews on a product. So you can't just keep pushing forward, and you're not getting the proper feedback from your customers or people that are interested. So if you're getting 1 and 2 star reviews, that means there's something wrong, and you got to either stop or do something different.
Who's giving the reviews you're talking about?
On Amazon or customers. I like to play tennis, so I kind of give this example. I don't know if anybody knows Steve Johnson. He's a pro tennis player, and he went to USC. His college record was 72-0 in college. So that's a really good product, right? I mean, he's a really good player. Yet he came into the pros, and it took him 5 years to win his first ATP Tour title. So I think that's a perfect example of, you know, bringing your little product into the real world. You know, you might have a really good product, but it's hard to get traction and hard to get it to the, you know, point where it's getting, you know, successful. But he persevered, and he's won 4 tournaments, and he's making his way up the ranks. That's it. I guess I personally like this quote by Calvin Coolidge because he says, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." So I personally relate to that. I think it's one of the greatest quotes. Well, I guess, what does the future hold? I have, you know, I'm very happy at this point because I got the product, I think, to my liking. I got the process, I think, to my liking. And I'm pretty confident that I'll sell it to a company or an interested party and move on to something else. Move on to the next deal. But yeah, Adams Suction Cups was one of the companies that did approach me. And so if I didn't have my company running, I didn't have the patent, I didn't have the business going, I don't think that opportunity would have presented itself. I don't think they went with me because I think part of the thing was they thought that it might cannibalize some of their sales. I'm not sure exactly, but so.
But your product is better than theirs.
I in certain instances, in certain applications, I'd say yes.
How about your pricing relative to these guys?
I'm in most instances I'm probably at one time I was double, but not anymore. Their prices have creeped up, so I'm probably about 25% higher now.
Because I'll say on a personal basis, fooling around with those things, and I get, you know, the job of sticking stuff up at home. They're terrific. They're much better than that. I mean, way out. They're worth double. But for somebody to see that, I think that's difficult unless they handle it.
You're saying?
Yeah, the using is in the convincing.
Yeah. You're saying my product?
Yeah, you're
right.
Correct. Absolutely.
How's Amazon doing for you?
Amazon is good. Initially it was really good, I think, because of the fact that there wasn't as many competitors out there in this space, and I did really, really good. And then a ton of competitors came into the space, and they probably just weren't online before. A ton of competitors came in, and I think Amazon also picked and choose some of the areas, some of the products they wanted to show up there, and I kind of got bumped back a little bit, but I still show up pretty well on Amazon, and it's supporting most of my company sales at this point because I haven't really branched out, much farther than that.
Do you do eBay?
No, I haven't done eBay yet.
How many sites do you have?
At this point, I only have one. Yeah, which is a problem because people like
Small, really small.
about the 1 3/4, 2 inch, and we have a drawing on that, so that would be something that we'd like to move into. Definitely, yeah. Here's some other quotes that I figure I'd just throw up, and I kind of liked. Yeah, and the last one, actually, I think it's blocked out there. It's actually Arthur Ashe too. What we get, we can make a living. What we give, however, makes a life. I thought that was a pretty powerful quote. Are there any other questions, or yeah?
Did you want to talk a little bit about how much the one-time engineering costs are for making your molds and getting your product created?
Sure. The mold itself, actually, I bought. They have like a frame. I bought a double-size frame at the time, and but I only put 2 cavities in it because I figures I could expand out to 4 cavity, and that was $15,000. I didn't have it done overseas either. I told my current molder that I didn't want it done over in China or whatever. I said keep it here, so they kept it here. So it was $15,000. But then there has been some additional upgrades and things, so now it's probably about $20,000 for that. The engineering to get me up and running, let's see, it was $12,000 to $15,000. $12,000 to $15,000 to make. He made a dispensing machine for me. I had to get a UV curing tunnel.
So is it fair to say all in you spent about $60,000 to get this thing going? Including
I'd say more like
fees?
75 to 100. Yeah.
And how did you pay the engineers, per project or progress
Yeah.
per project?
Yeah, per project. I
Upfront or upon completion?
they worked project to project. So as soon as they were done, I tried to get them the money. I tried to get them 50% up front, up front, and then 50% off the back.
That's much kinder. The attorneys always want money up front.
Yeah, right.
And they, success or not success, they're
Right.
in the ass.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Have you done any of it with 3D printing?
I didn't know. It was all no. Believe it or not, we didn't. It was kind of pre that they did little prototype molds for me out of urethane. So they made molds and then they would pour the urethane in, and I started testing using urethane molds. Yeah.
I'm thinking primarily of the adhesive that you came up with. That's the key.
Well, I'll tell you, the adhesive. I got to go a little bit. The chemist that invented or developed the first one, the blue one, he worked at it, diligently, and I used to work with him at the adhesive company. So he worked at it diligently, and he must have supplied me over 100 different formulas. And finally, thank you.
Put these here, right?
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. And he probably supplied, but over 100 different formulas, and finally we got something down. And he was just persistent. And he was actually from Cambodia, and he survived the killing fields. So he's not one to give up. He wasn't one to give up.
Wow.
All right. So I definitely have to take my hat off to him, otherwise I wouldn't be up and running. The current material, I went back to my raw material supplier, and they had on their website, oh, we make TPEs, and we even make TPEs that aren't sticky. And I called them up, I said, well, you make TPEs, I want them sticky. Can you make them sticky? You go, oh yeah, we can make them sticky, because that's what I wanted. Well, 2 years later, because they could make it sticky but not sticky enough for what I wanted. So they made a certain formula that was close, but it wasn't good enough. And then I started playing in my lab, and I just played with their formula. And I started researching TPEs and whatnot, and I added some components to it, and I got it to the point, and I'm not a chemist, but I've worked with adhesives, and so I got it to the point that I liked it, and then I sent it to a toll manufacturer that actually refined it more for me. And so now I have it made at a toll manufacturer.
The TPE means what?
A thermoplastic elastomer. Yeah, hi.
John, this is really incredible.
Thank you.
May I ask you, this is actually you done have a day job too, right? Or you just full time or have a day job?
This is what I do. This
full
is
time.
right now. This is what I do full time.
Okay. Before when you started, whole from the start, beginning to the process, you just full time.
Right.
Okay.
And good.
The other question is I saw your patent. One of the patent you have both inventors. You have two inventors. How do you share the how that the patent is owned by two inventors?
Right. That's actually the mentor I mentioned, Bob Borghese. He's the other owner of the patent. So we're co-inventors. I actually own 100% of the company.
Okay, the company, but the patent was.
He is on the patent. He is on the patent, and we're just co-inventors on that.
Okay.
So do you have assignment?
Yeah.
What's that?
You have assignment of the patent rights to yourself
Or the company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or to the company?
Right. No, it's to me and Bob.
So how do you divide the spoils?
Well, we honestly, we haven't discussed that. I mentioned to him, I for the last 4 or 5 years, I said, will you please slide a piece of paper to me and tell me what percentage you would be interested in? And he goes, don't worry about it. See, here's the thing. His mother used to live next to us. So that's how I got to know, really know Bob. And he saw my product at my house. So he was just so happy that we lived next to his mother, who was, into her 90s, and we watched over her, that he kind of just did this because he was intrigued with it. So he did it. What percentage he would actually take, I don't know, but it's not going to be 50%. It's going to be a percentage, but I don't know exactly. Yes.
I hope my question isn't displaying my ignorance.
No.
But what made you decide to pursue this product, develop the business, put in all the resources, versus licensing it to a company that was already in that field?
Well, that's really the path I wanted to take, to license, bless you. And as I was going along with this, it's kind of like you're going along and you want a license, but to get in front of somebody is not that easy typically. And we did get in front of 5, 6 different companies that did view the product and were interested. But in the meantime, you got to kind of keep it going. And so I decided to I said to myself, as far as I'm going to go is contract manufacturing. So I went as far as contract manufacturing. And then I said, okay, I took one more step and I finish off the manufacturing and package it now. So that's as far as I've gone. I was willing to go with it. But I think, as in, with that Adams example, at least I had the company, had the patent, I had proof of sales, and I had reviews that had come in, on the product. So I think that got their attention, and that's why they came to me. I don't know if that answers your question, but
If you had another product, would you develop it to the extent you develop this product, or would you pursue
Probably not.
licensing more?
probably, from what I've learned, I probably would take it to a really make it into a very good prototype, and then get my patent or trademark or whatever, and then shop it around more. I probably would go that route.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm curious, last time I was here, I heard a room full of great ideas, and there are different disciplines from inventing and developing a product, a technical product at least, and then actually marketing it and running a business and
Yeah.
maybe raising capital. So you're on Amazon, but have you figured out, because licensing or some sort of private label, there's all options are still on the table. Have you figured out what path you're going to take?
Well, I guess in my mind, what I'm thinking, I really don't want to be a suction cup manufacturer per se. And expand a big business with a suction cup company. I'd rather sell it to a company that would like to take that over and manufacture the product, and then I guess the big thing, royalties or whatever. But I'd like to hand it off so I can move on to another product if I could. That would be the main goal. But I'm willing to take a certain step and get it ramped to a certain level. But I don't want to go to the point where I'm as big as an Adams suction cup or something. No, I'm not interested in doing that. Yes.
In your tour in Sikorsky, did you ever think of where they could use your suction cups, where they presently use clamps and stuff like, and you'd have a temporary holding mechanism?
I actually never visited Sikorsky. I
thought you sold them.
We used to make the material for them, but I never actually went to the plant. So
you should take a tour and say, oh, they could use it here, they could use it there.
yeah, well, they are. I know they are used in machine shops where people will put suction cups on like the lathes or whatever to hold up clipboards and this and that and different things, because they can withstand pretty harsh environments other than the other cups, the regular ordinary cups. So yeah, it's a good.
Ever thought of selling to non-retail, an intermediate user, let's say people who make the bird feeders to stick on the window, say
Yeah.
give them exclusive for a number of years or a number of units, and make it exclusive to a bird feeder, or ornaments, Christmas ornaments, or
Right,
other
right,
holidays
yeah.
Ornaments.
I that's a great idea. I think again, we did get approached by some companies doing that, but I haven't really gone after those companies because honestly, I didn't have the manufacturing capability to really keep up, and that was what I was worried about.
Yeah, I'm thinking the bird feeders, they're not all that many. So.
No, well, yeah, but I mean, if you're trying to keep up with supply,
Right.
your certain orders, and then you get other orders like that, I didn't know if it would tax my production process to the point where I couldn't keep up.
You have 2 cavities.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying finishing it off because that isn't molded. That the seal isn't molded on there. It's just the cup. Right.
Post process.
Right.
Is it all automated, or are you hand doing?
It's partially automated. So yeah, there's definitely hand motion, but my engineer has a good idea on that, on how to streamline that, especially with the new material, because it's essentially can just be laid on and then cooled, so we don't have to cure it. So
you could shape it, put it in place.
right.
Nice.
That's what I was really shooting for. And honestly, I really pushed for this material because I wanted something that was as safe as possible, especially with they'd be used all over the place, and also the process would be easier. So I've been searching for that for a long time. Hopefully we have it. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see.
And it almost looks like that stuff could be a shock absorber as well.
Yeah.
As an engineer, I can see all kind of
Yeah.
applications.
A dampening device.
Excellent. Need it all over the place.
Yes.
You mentioned that after you figure out how to sell this, you'd like to move on to the next thing. Do you have some ideas of what that is, or are you spending some time now on that, or are you trying to complete this one project?
I started a little bit on another project, which I don't want to, I don't really want to at this because
I'm
you got.
just more curious whether you've gotten that in your mind.
Yeah, I do actually. I've got a prototype I already made of another item that I'm thinking about. Again, that's what I like to do. That's my happy spot, I guess. I like going there.
Get hooked up with CT Next and attend one of their teaser programs that the government's always looking for different applications to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
CT Next. Okay. Yep. Yes.
Could you tell us what you would do differently if you had to do it all over again?
Never do it again.
Never do
it.
Now wait a minute, you're already into another product.
Yeah, I know.
Some people live and learn, and other people just live.
Right, exactly. Let's see. That's a good question. What would I do differently? I think I like what she was alluding to. I don't know if I would take it to the next step and go to the manufacturing route or not. For me personally, I've been in manufacturing my whole life, but yet I don't think I want to run a manufacturing facility.
So would you focus more on licensing next time?
Yeah, and I think I personally jumped into this, even though I didn't think I was jumping in too soon, leaving a paying job and going into this. I thought I was jumping in late, but I was actually jumping in too soon. So I've been fortunate and, financially that, I've had good paying jobs and I've had savings, and actually I've used stocks to cover costs of equipment and, play the market a little bit to cover things. But I've been very fortunate, and like I said, we run it on a shoestring at this point, and there's no bills. Everything is paid for. So
have you made back all the money you spent?
No. But I have not. No, I have not. No.
You want to put an ad on eBay, say you have only 4 left.
And then they'll start going.
Then they'll start ordering those 4.
Well, the funny thing about eBay is I think they showed up. Somebody, like I during the holidays, I'd go out of stock sometimes, and I try to keep up with it. It's hard to gauge with Amazon how much sales you're going to get. So I'd go out of stock, and all of a sudden they'd show up on eBay for $27 a pack, $27.99, because there was nothing in stock on Amazon. So they just bumped the price up. I was like, wow, how does that happen?
I think eBay would work with you, whereas Amazon is going to try to get competitors to push you to a lower price, and even wipe you out.
Well, I have to say, in defense of Amazon, I wouldn't have a marketplace if it wasn't for them. So I have to say I can't say really a bad thing. And they have picked my product periodically as they'll do a little thing, Amazon's Choice. That doesn't always stay there, but they gave me some kudos there periodically, and so all in all, I'm
Make yourself a YouTube of all the applications.
Yeah, right. That's definitely a good idea. So,
well, I hope everyone will join me in thanking you.
Thank you very much. I hope you take away at least one thing from the talk. So, thank you again.
Better adhesive, that's.
Okay.
There's a lot of it.
All right.
Yes.
So next month we'll have a presentation that
thank
is
you.
how I went from idea to sales in 6 months. The founder of Monitorel, a hands-on technology executive and serial entrepreneur, Michael, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Alatortsev, of Advection and iTrend, and in his spare time he builds Bitcoin mining machines out of milk crates and spare computer parts, and also they double as space heaters. Throw off all that.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming.
I'm the inventor.
Drive safe, drive often.
Give you this, and tell me what you think, all right?
Oh, all right.
What I'm looking for is, I got the patent, I got a European patent, the Australian patent. Actually,